go ahead and get started. I was going to use the mic, but I'm much more comfortable just talking with my own voice. And it's a small group, and the acoustics in here are great. Can everybody hear me in the back? Awesome. Okay. My name is Erin Davies, and I'm here with Steve Kelker and Sarah Glatz, and we wanted to just give parents an opportunity to come in and talk with students and have students share a little bit about their digital lives, so the parents could have a better understanding about what it is they do as digital citizens, and to kind of raise awareness of some of the positive and negative effects that can happen from teens being involved with technology and being online. And rather than us try to present a bunch of information, they are the experts and they're living it every single day. So we thought it would be best to hear from them. I'm going to pass the microphone down. We're going to have each of our students, they're ranging from 6th grade right up through seniors, and I'll pass the mic down so they can introduce themselves and each share one fun fact about themselves.
Hi, my name is Brianna and I'm a junior and I go to South Portland High School. Fun fact, I am passionate about filmmaking.
Hi, I'm Kalisha. I'm in 7th grade at Memorial, and I like to play basketball.
Hi, I'm Aaron from Mahoney. I'm in 8th grade, and I have a recipe for award-winning muffins.
I'm Toby from Memorial. I'm in 7th grade, and I like Nintendo.
I'm Annie. I'm a senior, and I was just Mary Poppins in the musical here.
I'm Adriana Boyden. I'm an 8th grader at Mahoney Middle School, and, well, I just love writing.
Hi, I'm Lavinia. I'm an 8th grader at Mahoney, and there is nothing fun about me. I'm a very solemn person.
I'm Lucas. I go to the school. I'm a freshman, and I like skateboarding.
Okay, so we actually have a set of questions that the kids are going to answer, the students I should say, are going to answer. And just remember guys, if you have something to add, just raise your hand, because I know a lot of times when people start talking, it makes you think something you would like to say. So we'll start with Lavinia. And the question we have for Lavinia is, since the focus of our discussion is on teens' lives, let's start with something simple. So describe your morning routine. What does it look like, and is there technology involved in your morning routine?
Well, about 6:30, I wake up, get dressed, get my makeup done, and I go downstairs and I make my own lunch and I get my backpack ready. And then once I've gotten everything out of the way, that's when I take out my iPad and I go on social media and stuff.
Anyone have anything different you wanted to add?
So I start off in the morning with my alarm is on my phone, and that's what wakes me up in the morning. And then I really don't use it again until like the end of the day, or maybe when I'm on the bus. I make my own lunch. The only thing I have time is I use technology is when it wakes me up in the morning. Good.
Do you want to do it now? Sure. Okay. We also have a video. We interviewed some students from the high school and the elementary school to talk about what it is they do with technology during the day. We asked them 2 questions.
So what are your favorite tools for communicating with your friends?
Texting.
Facebook.
Instagram, iMessage, and Snapchat.
Instagram, texting.
I like Snapchat because people can see it one time.
No, I don't really do that much social media.
My favorite social media is Instagram because I can follow whoever I want, see all the pictures, post whatever I want, and I can become private.
Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram.
Texting and Instagram.
Personally, I like text.
I use Snapchat, Facebook, and text messaging if you count that.
Instagram because I can post my own photo.
Facebook.
I like Instagram because it's a fun way to see my friends, family, and pictures and stuff like that.
Messages and probably Kick.
That's Facebook. I like Snapchat, Instagram for the DM.
Steam.
Probably Snapchat and Facebook Messenger.
I like to call people. Probably Instagram.
Snapchat, Facebook, Skype, Facebook Messenger if you count that.
I like to do text messages.
I use Twitter and Instagram just to keep up with my friends and see what they're up to.
Well, I just got a phone, so.
And how many times a day do you check for messages?
20.
Once every hour or half hour.
3 times a day.
Every other day.
I check it every day.
And I check it like every day that I get to. I just know a lot.
I do check it a lot, so it's good to always be in the action.
I check it just to see like what's going on throughout the day.
I do it like 5 times a day.
20 or more. More like it.
You check it whenever you get a notification or bored.
10 times a day, I'd say.
I check it about once a day, but more on weekends.
Probably like a lot. I say like 10.
And I check it about once a day.
See if anybody's trying to get a hold of you, stuff like that. See if anyone's like commented or liked on your photos, and just see if anything's new. Yeah.
So this was a public service announcement that one of our students did here at school, and he chose the topic of cyberbullying. It's quite good, so we felt that it was worth showing tonight. Right, so we're going to continue on with some questions. Annie, if you could talk a little bit about this. Some teens say that their cell phones or computers can be distracting when they're trying to get homework done, or even just when they're hanging out with their friends. So does this happen to you or any of your friends?
I would definitely say that it can be distracting, and I mean, I think it also depends on how maybe motivated the student is. I know that my first few years of high school, I was pretty good about monitoring myself and keeping the technology to a minimum. But now it's the end of my senior year, and I definitely see it bleeding into my life more and more. I tend to choose looking at social media over maybe doing my work a little bit more than I used to. But it definitely does have an effect on your life. Not all negative, but it definitely has a big influence.
Does anybody else have any other strategies that they want to share for avoiding distraction?
Well, I'm going to start this by saying I go to PADS, which is Portland Arts and Technology High School, for half of the day, and so I get bused there. And what I find interesting is that the people who are around me, generally like my friends and stuff on the bus, are mostly sitting there on the bus ride with like their iPads playing games or like showing each other weird pictures from Tumblr or something. And it's kind of bothersome because I keep trying to like start a conversation with them or tell them something about my day, and they just kind of like either not hear me, and then they're like, oh, what did you just say? Or something like that. And it's kind of affecting themselves and me because I would prefer personal connection rather than interpersonal connection, which seems to be what internet is, and social media. And I feel like it's really hard to say there's a way to solve this because we are constantly advancing ourselves technologically because we think that's what will help us, and it is, but we're using it to more of a disadvantage. So.
Kalisha, do you want to talk a little bit about what rules you have in your family for around technology and its use?
Well, we have rules on what I'm allowed to post and not allowed to post or to send, and like be nice online. Don't say anything that like you wouldn't say to someone face to face, which should probably be a general rule everywhere. And don't do anything that you'll like regret later, and just don't do anything that you're not supposed to do. Like use common sense. Don't just like randomly do something because you're mad or upset. Think it through.
Okay, Lucas, do you ever give yourself a break from technology? And if so, what do you do?
Yes, I do. And one point that I like to, is kind of like a rule, a break from technology that my dad came up with is screen break time, which I really didn't like, obviously, because I enjoyed my technology. But it just was like an hour or two a day where we just put all the phones, no TV down, and we go outside and do something. And personally, I don't use my phone a lot in school, so that's kind of a break, but I do use my iPad often, so it's the social media is gone in school. And after school, I'll go home and play Xbox or something, so social media isn't there, but technology is definitely there. Yeah.
Lavinia, if you could talk for a few minutes about what are the types of conversations that you would rather have online than face-to-face?
Well, personally, if I'm mad at someone, I would rather have a serious conversation with them face-to-face. And also sarcasm, personally, that's something I use a lot. So it's hard to display that with online. So those are conversations I'd rather have.
I definitely second that point. I don't tend to like be in like drama or anything, but the source of like my stress is normally when someone takes you the wrong way when you're talking to them, like over text or something, because it really is. It's so easy to have something you say in a totally harmless way become something that really hurts someone's feelings, or is just, it can be really bad. And so I think, again, like going to watch what you say and really think it through, because you may be completely sarcastic, but that person may take it seriously, and that can cause a lot of issues and a lot of tension between friends.
Adriana, your opinion overall, does time spent on social media generally make you feel better or worse about yourself, and why?
Well, for me, it definitely makes me feel better about myself. The reason for that is, well, society can sometimes be pretty messed up and, well, just hard to deal with like all these insults being thrown back and forth, and yeah, and with some of the people, with some people online that you can like connect with, they well, depending on who they are, they will support you in well, they just will help you through it.
I think this also depends on how old you might be, because I know right now social media probably makes me feel better about myself, but say in middle school there were things like, well, I know it was Formspring in middle school, I think now it's like Ask FM where people can go on your profile and ask you questions anonymously, and for me and many, many others in middle school, that was a huge source of insecurity because anybody could say anything they wanted to you, and many, many hurtful things were said. I don't think I know a single person who had a Formspring that didn't get a rude comment, and so that definitely made me feel worse about myself, but I think that also, you need to monitor that yourself, because I ended up deleting that pretty quickly after I realized that the mean comments weren't going to stop. So I think it also helps to know who you are, and if something's upsetting you, just make a change.
Overall, do you think social media makes the world a better place or a worse place, and why? Alicia, do you want to?
I think that social media can be helpful, like when you're trying to contact friends or family that you don't always see all the time. It's kind of just nice to be able to talk to them, or if you need to get a hold of your parents, say like you need a ride from something. But it can also be a bad thing because people tend to misuse it. Like people create this amazing tool and then they most people just misuse it the wrong way. And that's not what it was created for, so you're not really supposed to do that, so don't.
Well, I think that, I know I tend to, this is kind of answering both the question before this one and this one. It tends to, you have to pick and choose who you follow and don't follow to make sure that you're not having a bad experience on social media, so you're not, so you don't feel as though you're being targeted or being hurt. So you have to make sure you pick and choose who you follow and don't follow.
Toby, what are some of the reasons people would contact their friends online rather than face-to-face?
I think that people talking online in arguments is a lot easier for certain people because they don't have to actually look at the person in the eye, for example, and they don't have to use body language, and it can be really, you can give off the, you can, how do I say this? On social media, there's no facial expressions or gestures or anything, so it's, what was the question again? If they haven't seen them in a while and they perhaps are on vacation, would be one. Another would be if maybe if they were in an argument and if the person wasn't talking to you, you could send them a message, and since they might not know when their ringer goes off that it's you, they could check it, and if it's an apology, they might think about it. So that's one reason.
And do teens, when they're in arguments, do they tend to contact each other online to get together to talk it out, or do they try to sort it out online?
For me personally, I don't go offline without sorting it out unless I have to. I don't like to leave something just there unless it's really unimportant, because I feel like it causes tension in the real world, for example, for lack of a better word, if we don't settle it through the internet. So it's kind of a tool where we can get things done in a way that it doesn't affect our real lives.
What is a misconception that adults have about your digital lives that you'd like to set the record straight?
I think many adults I think they really think a little, social media is really, there aren't many levels to it. It's really just like mostly kids talking, and it's a way of just really communication. And I think without social media, kids might not be as willing to make plans with friends. I think it's really a way that helps kids like maybe also find people that they wouldn't otherwise be friends with. But I think there's a misconception that students are always making bad decisions. I mean, there are those people out there, but if your child has common sense and if you really talk to them and just say, this is what you should and shouldn't be doing, then that would help. I mean, people are going to make mistakes, but I think it's just, you have to know that your child's going to do the right thing, and if they don't, then that's a learning lesson.
Well, one of the misconceptions that I believe that some parents make is that their child is doing something that they shouldn't be doing on social media, when they really are just trying to express themselves. Like, well, for me personally, I like to write. And I write with people like across the country and maybe even across the world. And like we go back and forth, just trading thoughts, basically. And well, I just think that another misconception would be that like they could be that their child could be hurting someone without like really meaning to. But I don't really know. Like, I'm not a telepath. I don't know what they think. So I'm not so sure like what misconceptions that they have. It's hard to be certain. So
Yeah. Well, a lot of parents have fears about what their kids are doing online. And do you think those fears are legitimate? And what fears are the most legitimate? What should parents be worried about? And what should parents trust their kids with doing online?
Well, I think, I'm not sure about this, but I think the problem with social media now is that I think parents have fears because they're not used to it because they didn't have it when they were our age. So I think usually parents can offer at least a little bit of wisdom on a subject because it's already been a been there, done that situation. But the problem with social media is that they haven't had it. So I think they automatically fear the worst, but we're really not that bad. We try our best.
I definitely agree with that. I think something that parents should probably be worried about is the cyberbullying, because the internet gives a sense of confidence that someone probably wouldn't have in real life. It gives like a mask you can hide behind, and many hurtful things are said without even thinking about it. And I think that is something that parents should probably talk to their child about and be worried about, because it can happen to anyone. And your child could be the person that's cyberbullying someone, and that's not good. That's something that needs to change. But being the victim of cyberbullying is also something that really, I mean, I know especially middle school and high school, that's a time where like students kind of find themselves. And to have someone putting you down, it really is very destructive, and it can cause a lack in like growth. And I think that's something that is very important to like stay on top of.
The thing about cyberbullying and bullying is that I think kids think they can tell parents about bullying because it's personal, it's face-to-face, but through the internet it just feels like some person putting you down on the internet. It doesn't feel like a big deal, but it can really hurt your conscience. But if it's personal and you're in school, there's adults around, they can see it and they can contact your parents, you can talk to guidance and stuff. But I think that when it happens on the internet all the time, kids don't make as much of a big deal out of it, when really it can be a big deal.
I think that social media isn't like the only part of it that parents have a misconception on because technology, people see us on our iPads or iPhones and they think we're texting, but we're not. We might be doing homework or something because we just use technology for so many different things, and it's not just social media that we use technology for. So sometimes I think parents will say like, oh, stop texting, stop having so much screen time. Well, sometimes I'm doing my homework for an hour on screen time, so.
One thing, people fear the unknown. And with that being said, while parents are looking at their children just texting or having their cell phones with them all the time, since this is not something, everyone has their own phones and whatnot, but they don't normally they're not on it as much as us. And it's not all bad. I'm a little more on the side of not using it as much because I only have Facebook, which I have to keep. But I mean, there are other things online that could be kind of considered social media, such as VHS, which is virtual high school. This is something I'm doing. I'm taking a screenwriting class on it, and without it, my school does not offer certain classes here, and I aspire to be a screenwriter. And I'm glad that this online class, I'm able to take it, because without it, I wouldn't be able to learn certain things, especially about film and what it has to offer. So that's another good thing, but it isn't always all bad.
I think one of the many fears that parents have is, well, that their child may be talking to somebody that they don't know and that they might be sharing personal information about themselves, which in some cases is actually quite legitimate and is something that happens like with kids all the time, but not with all of them. Like, for me, in my opinion, I think it's very rare that kids do share their personal information with people that they don't know online. However, I do believe that the fear of that parents have is something that, well, that does happen, and I don't really know how to explain it. Like, I'm not very good at explaining things.
I totally understand what you're saying, and I think parents think there is a lot of danger online, and that's true, but also we hear these horror stories about like this girl's talking to someone, she goes to meet them in person, and something really bad happens, and that is a rare occasion. We just hear about it more because it's on the news. And I think the personal information, like, make it clear to your child that you can make accounts private and watch who you follow, and if you don't know someone who's like sent you a friend request, then don't friend them, because that's where the danger comes. If you're smart about it, then that danger that you talk about might not be as relevant.
Personally, I think I'm pretty lucky to have not had social media in my life until I came into middle school. Some elementary school kids have phones and have Facebook accounts, and I'm really surprised by that, because personally, my parents have spent that entire time, my elementary school years, teaching me how to behave in public, and that applies to social media too, because the internet is public. So I'm lucky to have already been taught how to behave and what's right and what's wrong, and that I'm not supposed to share my last name and my address with people who I don't already know in person. So if an adult is confident in their teachings to their child, then I don't think they have too much to worry about social media.
I think you make a good point about being taught by your parents, and I think a lot of parents are comfortable teaching kids manners and how to behave in the outside world. But as far as social media goes, because it is new to a lot of our parents, what advice would you give to parents who are fearful or do have misconceptions about social media? What would be the first step to begin that conversation with their children?
Well, I think along with having a conversation about safe social media and what you want your child to do and what you don't want them to do, I think you should also find out what kind of social media your kids are on and maybe create an account. It doesn't have to be like stalkerish, like you're just constantly watching your kid, but every now and then check and be like, okay, is this okay by my standards or not? And if it isn't, you can have a talk with your kids about maybe why this isn't okay or what you can do about it. But just, yeah, use it as a learning experience and create ways to actually use their own posts to teach them lessons.
We're going to take a short break, and there are note cards in front of you, and there's a few pencils floating around, so if you have specific questions you'd like to ask the panel, Ms. Glatz is going to collect those, and we'll take a couple minutes break till about 7:15. What people think you want to think? No? About 5 minutes? Okay. So we'll just take a short break, about 5 minutes, and we have a lot of really good questions here, so if we don't get to all of them with the panel right now, we actually are going to meet in the Learning Commons informally after this, so students can hang around, and if you have specific questions, then you can ask the students at that time, okay? Okay, and this is for anybody. How many times a week do you actually talk to a friend on the phone? Not text, but talk.
I actually, the only people I talk to on the phone is my grandma and my mom and my dad. I just find it very it's very hard to talk on the phone because it's kind of uncomfortable because it's kind of like if you were sitting there in face to face and you just have dead silences in between sentences and nobody talks. It's just weird. I don't like talking on the phone.
I personally prefer to talk on the phone, but most of my friends don't. But I do talk to my parents and my grandparents, aunt, uncles, cousins on the phone a lot, and I will just keep talking and talking, and they'll be like, "Can I say something now?" So yeah, but I don't usually talk to my friends on the phone. I FaceTime with my friends. I don't know if that counts.
So I can't actually say how many times exactly, because that might possibly add up to a lot. I don't really use social media, but I text a lot, kind of, because it's really hard because I'm busy all the time, so I use my phone to message people if I need to message them, or tell them how my day went, which is nice, but the difficulty about that is that what a phone is really, an iPhone, just glass and circuits and electrical things that I have no clue what's going on in there, but it's just kind of weird because, when you're talking on the phone and whatnot, you're kind of talking to yourself almost, because there's no one in front of you basically, you're just kind of talking into this small device, so it's a little weird, but I do like using the phone because it helps me connect with people, which is really important, especially being busy all the time. I'm in, 6 clubs? So I have to kind of balance it all, and I can't, talk to people all the time and, chase them down. So it's helpful, and it's...
I know in my house, there were 4 teenagers a little over a year apart, and we had one phone. So I know you guys know what that looked like on a regular basis. You had the cord, you ran into your bedroom and shut the door. It was a little different. It seems that teens have moved away from Facebook and more to Snapchat-like apps. Can anybody explain why they think that is?
I personally do not, I don't use Snapchat, stuff like that. I'm more of a Facebook guy, but that's only because I like to connect with my family members and stuff, and most of them are on Facebook. But I think the reason that people have moved from things like Facebook to things like Snapchat is because, now don't get scared when I say this, but I think people are, they want to be more secretive, and they want to do things that, like not necessarily bad things, but I mean like send a joking thing or a bad picture of them that can only be seen for a certain amount of time. And maybe it's kind of like the thrill of just doing that, where you can only be seen for 10 seconds and do whatever you want. Not like bad, but like, embarrassing.
I think that because so many adults are on Facebook now, and they've said to kids they can't go on Facebook and stuff, kids are like, oh, here's Snapchat, it's a place where I can post photos and stuff. So they kind of, because their parents want them to go on Facebook, they transition to Snapchat, where their parents don't know much about, so yeah.
So Facebook is mostly for adults. I think Instagram is the kid version of Facebook, and kids tend to more grow towards that. Snapchat, I have one, and I kind of just use it to, I use the texting part of it, not usually the picture part. But when I do send a picture, it's because I want to show someone what I'm doing, or so I don't really use the picture part. I just use the texting part, because a lot of people have Snapchat, and if I can't get a hold of them in another way, that's an easy way to get a hold of them.
I kind of look at that from like a technical side of what you can use on either application. So with Facebook, you have like a timeline and you have messaging, and Snapchat's done the same thing. I use Snapchat. They have stories where you can upload photos that anyone can see. You don't have to send them to a certain person. And so people really think, why can't I use both? What is the difference? So people use both. And some people might just use Snapchat because it's mainly messaging, and that's what people want to do. People don't really feel like looking at just text statuses and this and that. So and there are more photos on Snapchat, like Facebook. There aren't as many. So when you go onto your Snapchat, it's all just photos, and people liking at photos. So I think that's why more people are using one application more than the other.
I think people who have Facebook accounts also have Snapchat accounts, and they use Snapchat more because, like pretty much everyone said, it's definitely faster. And also in my school, Facebook, you can't get onto Facebook with the Wi-Fi. It's blocked, and Snapchat isn't. So that's probably why some people use it more.
Do any of your parents have access to your social media accounts, either by password, or you let them in as friends, or you let them look at your social media regularly?
before we start this question, I have something really important to know about Snapchat. I don't know why people started to move to it, but something that people don't know is that in the terms and policies in Snapchat, no one ever reads that, but inside of it, it says that it owns everything that you do. What happens is that they have a database where they store all the photos, everything you've ever sent, everything. They have been known to sell your pictures to people just for ads, like, pop-up ads or something. They have done that, and even since you agreed to that, they have access to that, and you can't do anything about it. You can't sue them because you agreed. So that's something really important to know. That's why I don't have a Snapchat.
So Annie, do you let your parents see your social media, or do they have access to it?
They don't have like my password to anything, but I am like friends with my mom on Facebook. But also, my parents were very adamant about the fact that I was not allowed to have a Twitter, and after years of asking, I went ahead and did it anyways. And so there's some things that they don't even know about. Like Instagram is kind of a lost idea to them, and Snapchat they don't really know about. But it's definitely like, I don't think I would give my mom or my parents my password to social media, because it's just privacy. I don't do anything bad, I promise. But it's just like, I want my own privacy, and if they have my password, they can go on anytime and kind of just see what I've been doing. And some things kids just want to keep to themselves, and it's not that it's bad or embarrassing, it's your life, you're growing into an adult, and you want something for yourself.
While you have the microphone, can you just tell us about, Annie just got into the college of her choice, which is wonderful, and just how are people paying attention, colleges paying attention to what you post online, and what that looks like in your own experience?
So one of the reasons I went against my parents and got a Twitter is because I knew that colleges were pretty active. And I was told from a young age that colleges do watch what you do, and it's very true. All the colleges I've gotten into, I might have made a post about on Twitter, and especially my top school. I said, just got accepted with this scholarship, and within 2 hours, they followed me, answered me back, congratulations. One of the admissions counselors messaged me on Twitter and was like, if you have any questions, I'm here for you. And so they are watching. Every single one of my schools follow me, answer me back, congrats. And so it really is some students blow it off and say they're not watching, but they really are, and they do take it seriously. If you're posting things that are really inappropriate or that show that you're not the person that maybe they thought you were based on your college application, then they will do something about it, because they don't want irresponsible and disrespectful kids going to their school.
Has anyone here ever done this, or had a friend that has made a bad decision and felt that they were in some kind of danger online?
I know maybe not some of my really close friends or myself, but I hear quite a bit throughout the high school about maybe girls who are upset with someone and they post something that's obviously towards someone, or they message them, and that causes a lot of tension, and often it causes fights, physical fights. Most of the fights that happen here at high school are caused by something said on social media, and so people, you basically have to put yourself in a position to feel in danger on social media. At least that's how I feel. But I definitely hear about that. Here at the high school, I don't think it's probably as active at the middle school, but things you say on social media can put you in danger, and if you feel like you're in danger, maybe you need to, it's probably a relevant feeling, but you probably should have made a different decision, because I don't think someone would randomly pick you out and maybe threaten you, unless they're a bully, which is also sad and scary.
If you look at what we would consider the traditional roles in schools, you have the mean girls or the jocks. Do you think those roles are still carried out online, or do you think socializing online eliminates some of those social roles?
I think that a lot of people see the internet as a place where they can have a different identity. Not necessarily a bad thing, just a place where they can take on a different role than they do in the real world. Like, for example, if someone is kind of an introvert in real life, they don't want to talk to people on the internet, they might feel differently about that and express themselves. So, yeah.
Well, I know at Mahoney there's a few people who you wouldn't necessarily know how great their personality and how good of a friend they might be, but through social media, I think some of these people have made new friends because they've been able to show what they really are on social media, because they might be shy or introverted, as Toby said, and that way they've made new friends in real life and at school too. So I think in some ways it's made it easier for some of these people because they have people to connect with.
I completely agree with those statements, but there's also like the opposite end of it. I've been lucky that I think my class, like the seniors here, we're all pretty good friends, but I noticed that some of the younger classes, people, I mean, they'll post pictures and say that they're with a certain group, and you could predict that they were going to be with those people, and it does separate like the groups more. If you play sports, you'll see that people are hanging out with like their athletic friends, and that's completely okay, but there's sometimes not even an opportunity to bridge those gaps on social media because people, I mean, you don't feel like you can be accepted when people are constantly adamant about posting about who they hang out with. So there are ways that it can separate groups even more.
At what age do you think it is appropriate for students to get phones? Maybe cell phone versus iPhone.
I think that depending on if that person babysits or not, if they're babysitting, it might be a good idea to get them a basic, like a track phone or something, so that they have a way to call someone if there's an emergency while they're babysitting, because nobody really has landlines anymore. So they're not going to be able to go to somebody's house while they're babysitting their kids and go, where's the landline? Because there isn't one. So they have to have some way of getting a hold of someone, and that's a good idea. Most people start babysitting around 12 or 13, sometimes 11. I think a good idea for an iPhone would probably be 13 or 14 at the youngest. I don't think you should give iPhones to little kids because they'll just break them. They're really expensive. So.
Well, nowadays, basically when people think of a cell phone, they think iPhone, but that's not necessarily true. And I think that once you get into middle school, I got a phone in 5th grade, but that was only because it was free. And I think once you get into middle school, it's more important for children to have a phone because once you get into middle school, you start to get more independent and do more things after school, and it's important for your parents to know where you are, but and they're not as like they don't watch over you as much. I mean, they still do, but not as much as they have in the past when you were in elementary school. And you might be walking home or hanging out with friends more after school. So I think it's important that at least in middle school you have some type of basic phone to at least communicate with your parents so they know where you are at least.
Talking more about the age limit thing, I think that a lot of people when they talk about age limit, what they're really saying is like wisdom and maturity. And it's true that a younger audience may not have as much wisdom as an older audience, but we can see younger kids doing really mature choices, whereas we can also see them doing immature choices. Same thing with adults. So I think that depending on a kid's their actions, I think that their age limit to have a phone should be judged through that. not purely on their age.
Well, let's see. I believe that like around like whatever age that like like kids may be at when they first go into middle school would be a good time to get them a cell phone, because like there are these clubs that they can be a part of, and there are like after school sports, and they get introduced to all these new extra activities, like so. And I think, well, it would be a great. I just think it's a great way to like let parents know, for them to be able to let their parents know when these club meetings are and when they're not, and when they're done and over with.
I think that in elementary school, like, emergencies sometimes do happen. So I think like a simple track phone is something you can call your parents with. Like, I even know that some companies come out with like certain phones just for little kids, just to hit a button and call their mom or dads. And as you go into high school and middle school, seeing where they're at as far as maturity goes and getting them what you think they should have. Like, I use my phone for everything. I don't even just use it for social media. I have like my email on there. I have my school email. I have school projects that I'll take pictures of and look at. Like, it's not like as they grow up, they might need a phone.
What advice would you guys give to somebody who had a picture that was inappropriate or harmful posted online, either by them or by someone else?
Take it down. Don't, like, those pictures they will be so destructive to your future, because, like, at colleges, again, will look at it, and you don't want to give off the wrong idea on social media, because you're not meeting these people in person. They don't know who you really are, so what you put on social media is what people perceive you to be. And if you're putting inappropriate pictures or making rude comments, mean posts, then people aren't going to really want to be associated with you, and that could really cause some issues.
To add on to that, people in real life can change. They can change their views, their attitude, but if you post something, it's still there. It can be posted a year earlier, and people can judge you through it, even if that's not what you're like anymore. So if it's still there, if you've changed, it doesn't mean that people will see you in a different way through if you have a post like that. So I agree that you should delete it.
Well, if somebody else posts a picture of you and say it was photoshopped or edited, then you need to talk to an adult and like get some help, because if you didn't do it and it was photoshopped, or even if they just have a picture of you and it looks like you're doing something but you're really not, they just like the picture was just taken when you're in an awkward position or whatever, then you need to talk to an adult and don't try and handle it yourself, because it's not going to work. Social media is so big and you need an adult's help. And also don't post pictures that could hurt you in the future. It all just comes back to common sense and thinking twice before you hit the button.
I think if you know someone or your child is posting really bad things or offensive things, you have to have a serious talk, because I recently interviewed the director of communications at Chevrolet High School, and one thing that I learned was that whatever you post is still there. If you delete it, it's still there. It's still in the database. Everyone still has access to it. So you have to be very, very, very careful, because it will never go away once it's out there.
Just quickly, if found it interesting a couple weeks ago in one of my classes. I was asked to Google myself, and when I did, a bunch of articles about Mary Poppins came up and like things I'd done in school, and then when you go to images, like my headshots came up and pictures from when I was like in 6th grade and 8th grade, and so it really is like, and I know I deleted those off my Facebook because who wants those there, but they're still out there, and so it really is like beat that into your child's head. Really think about your future before you post things, because it will always be there, it will affect you, and you really just want to make good decisions now so that you don't regret it later.
And I think she made me think of something good. I think good advice for even adults too is to Google yourself, because it's actually surprising what you might find under your name on Google. You might not think that you have anything there, but you probably do of yourself. Some picture that's accidentally been there or something like that.
I want to say something really quickly. If you go to Google Images and you click on something and there's like a little button that says go to like the web page, it could say like this web page has been deleted, but the image is still on Google Image, so yeah, it's still there.
Do you think that parents should limit children's social media app choices?
Yes, definitely is a good idea for when they're just starting out. Start small and kind of just work your way up as you feel comfortable, but also consider what they're thinking and what they're doing, and that if they're being responsible, then take that into consideration, that they're not gonna they're gonna make mistakes, but they're not just gonna go online and fool around. So definitely just make sure that you're monitoring what they're doing, but like you said earlier, don't stop them, because that's just weird. But if they don't need to be on everything, because the more stuff that they're on, the more that they're checking it, and the more that there are chances of something bad happening. So start small and kind of just work your way up slowly.
Like I said before, I think limiting is good, that kids are going to do what they kind of want to do. Like with the Twitter thing with myself, I did make one against my parents' will, most rebellious thing I've done in my life, but it really, I mean, telling your child, don't have this for a specific reason, don't have a Snapchat because I don't think it's safe and I don't want you maybe sending pictures of yourself is a good thing to say, but know that there's a chance that they are on those social media sites, and just really, I think the most important thing is to just educate them on what they should and shouldn't be doing, because, I mean, a child's going to do what they want to do really regardless of what their parents say normally, so just make sure that they know the right thing to do.
To add on to the educational thing, I think that parents educating their children on what social media is and what their digital footprint is going to be is important, because eventually they will be making their own choices, and this will impact their choices. So it's really important that you make sure they know what's right and what's wrong.
Well, I think instead of just I think you need to be trustful to your kids too, and I think that instead of just firmly putting your foot down and saying no, you can't have it, I think if you do that, the kids will do it anyway. But if you sit down with them, if like say I went up to my mom and asked for Facebook, and instead of just saying no, you can't have it, not giving me any reasons, if she just sat me down and said, well, I don't think this is a good idea because, and gave me some reasons, I might be more apt to think about it instead of just doing it because my mom said no.
Back to the digital footprint thing that Toby said, you're not the only ones giving us information about what's out there. There are people at school. Just last week, there was a certain period during the day where instead of going to normal classes, we went to the library and we learned about our digital footprint, and we learned about cyberbullying, and we learned about different things that we didn't know and that you guys probably didn't know either. And it's, you're not the only ones giving us advice, and we hear it all over the place, even if it's not a direct message, even if it's indirect. It gets kids thinking, and we're not just not listening.
Well, I believe everyone has a choice in this world, especially to express themselves and to own these devices. But I do believe that if something so small can affect your life negatively and it's noticeable, you have to start restricting, your child or whoever is around you, that it's noticeable, because it can affect you, and if it can, it will.
In general, how much do you think kids are using either social media or gaming at home? And are you or any of your friends staying up really late at night and missing sleep because you're gaming or you're on social media a lot?
I have a fun story about this weekend. My mom's sitting right there, she knows what I'm about to say. She woke up to find my brother playing his PlayStation at 4 o'clock in the morning. And he had been playing since he hadn't gone to sleep. And sometimes, especially video games, you really want to play them and new things come out, and it's just all you want to do. And sometimes you should put a limit on that. So, yeah.
I have a really good example of something positive and negative. I have a friend who stays up all night on their iPad, but like watching YouTube and stuff. But they've also told me they've finished assignments and done really great work, and they've even sent me stuff to look at that they've done for school that night. So I feel like a lot of people just assume that if you're staying up late, you're using like the TV and you're watching videos, but some people are actually working on their schoolwork. So that's a really good example in my opinion.
Well, for me, sometimes the social media doesn't necessarily keep me up at night, but the homework does. But the only reason the homework does is because I've been on social media all afternoon and I say, oh crap, I better do my homework. So I think it's important to kind of limit what you're doing for social media in the afternoons and make sure you get your homework done, and then do whatever you have to do on social media.
Some people that I know have crazy schedules, and when I say crazy, I don't mean like they're running around and they have a lot of stuff to do. I mean like they do things in an interesting order that most of us wouldn't consider what you would usually do. Most people consider you go to school, you come home, maybe you have like a sports or a club or whatever, you do your homework, and then you like eat dinner, maybe if you have time, you kind of play around, and then you go to bed. Well, some people, they kind of dilly-dally, and then they'll be like, then their phone will go off and they'll be like, oh, and then they'll look on that, and then they don't realize how much time has gone by. And then some people, I do know, they take naps after school. And then they'll like wake up and their mom's like, time for dinner. And they're like, uh-oh. So then they eat dinner and they do their homework afterwards, staying up really late. And because they're so tired, they don't understand it, and it just kind of keeps them up at night, and it's very wacky.
Funny story. Well, I had to work on a project that had been assigned like 2 weeks before I decided to start working on it. And the night before it was due, I decided to start the project. Well, my part of it anyway. And, I tend to get sidetracked quite easily. Like, one notification from social media will, like, I'll click on it and, like all of a sudden, like I'll just snap back into like, I went on for like 5 minutes. Why is it 9 o'clock now? Yeah, and I just kept on getting sidetracked throughout the entirety of me trying to get the project done. Yeah, so it can be, like, social media can be quite distracting. Luckily for me, I didn't have to present my project until the day after. So that was a huge relief. And the day before I was to present it, I finally got it done because I finally got into the mindset that I need to get this done. I need to get a good grade on this. So it's just like, just delete Instagram for a few hours. So.
I just think, I don't know if email is considered social media, but I know for me, especially now, well, not anymore, but college-wise, I was always checking my email because they do send decisions, admission decisions over email. And so that was more so distracting for me than actually like Twitter or anything. So I mean, it's not always that you're on Facebook or Twitter being distracted. I legitimately checked my phone every 5 minutes on the day that I was supposed to hear back from some of my colleges. And my mom ended up taking it away because it was just so overwhelming. But sometimes it's not always like a bad distraction. It can be good.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you to all of these guys for being brave enough to come here and talk about social media. We do have a handout at the back we'd like you to take, and it has a list of resources that are included here that you can check out, and it has good advice for parents and students for using social media. And there's a survey on the back. If you could scan it with your phone, or there's also a URL there. But if you would rather do the survey on paper, we also have paper copies there for you as well. We'd really like your feedback for how tonight went. And we'd like to do more things like this in the future. So please take the time to fill out our survey. We really appreciate it. Yep, we're going to head down to the Learning Commons. There are some snacks there. And give us a time to informally chat with the students. Thank you.